We are back. It's Friday night. It's 7 p.m. Player Profiler Radio Network on YouTube. And I'm here with Matty Kiwoom again. We've only mocked 8 times together. And we have a very special friend right now, Neil Dutton, the longest tenured writer at Player Profiler. He also writes for RotoViz and 4for4. Neil, my man, across the pond, how you doing?
I'm very well. It's like the longest tenure. It does make me feel old. And, it's I didn't need to come here to be made to feel old by the likes of you two gentlemen. But it's an honor to be here. Thank you very much for having me.
I love it. I love it. Matty, did you have a good Friday?
Oh, I've had a great Friday, but now sitting down with you two to do a little mock draft, little Dynasty startup stuff. I'm pretty excited to work with Neil for the first time, which is pretty cool. So I'm excited. Let's do it.
We haven't even started yet, and Aaron's already in the chat talking smack.
You know what? Because hurt people, and Seth just keeps hurting that boy.
I love it. I love it. All right, well, let's pop up this draft here tonight. We're going to be doing a super flex PPR startup mock draft. We've been doing rookie drafts like it's our job 3 times a week for the last 3 weeks. 1 QB, super flex tight end premium. We did an NFL draft mock. Mm-hmm. Tonight, we're going to dabble in the Dynasty side of everything and do a startup, Superflex PPR startup for 5 rounds. You can see our board here on the right side, the player pool. That is in order, the player profiler Dynasty rankings. Did I just share some behind-the-scenes knowledge? No, maybe not. Dynasty rankings over there on the right side. You can go subscribe to that at playerprofiler.com in the Dynasty Deluxe section. And yeah, those are the rankings for you. But we're going to start tonight, Superflex PPR Dynasty Startup Mock Draft. And Neil is going to be the 101 because he is the guest. Neil, where are you going with the 101?
There's not many places you can go, really. Superflex 101, it's Patrick Mahomes. As long as he's still upright, still conscious, he's the consensus pick for me. And, I will brook no argument on this matter.
I love that. I love. I think that I saw. It was actually 2 days ago that I think PFF put out a post, and it was like Mahomes at 5 maybe, and then Jalen Hurts at 4, and it caught a lot of buzz on the old Twitter streets of having the likes of Mahomes pushed further down than Hurts was. But I don't think you can go wrong here with Patrick Mahomes. He's obviously been the one. He's got the Super Bowls under his belt. So you got a lot of studs, Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, but I mean, it's super flex and you know what you know. He's got a couple Super Bowl rings, so I like that. Matty?
First, before I make my selection, Cody, I need to get one thing clarified. Am I looking for the most complete team after these 4 rounds or 5 rounds, or am I drafting as if there was going to be 15, 20 additional rounds?
So if you look at this, if we are drafting for 5 rounds, each of us will have 4 picks in each round. Therefore, we will have 20 players.
It would be like a full roster. Okay. All right. I just want to make sure.
A full-blown roster. So maybe this is going to be a messy. This might be messy. This might get messy.
It's going to get messy because it's going to get real personal after we start making some selections because you always come at me. But right now at the 102, I don't know if this is a shock or not, but I'm going to go with Jalen Hurts here with the 102. Over Josh Allen, only because Josh Allen, dude's a battering ram, and we saw how fast Cam Newton kind of fell off after injuries started to creep up. I'm a little bit afraid of that with Josh Allen. Now, would I have taken him if Hurts was off the board? For sure, but with Hurts still available, give me Hurts with the 102.
You're a dick.
Starting it early, baby. Let's Cody.
That's a great pick. I really didn't want to have to pick Joe Burrow because it's between Joe Burrow and Justin Fields. I like Josh Allen, but he's just not. It's not my type of quarterback. As far as I shouldn't say that he is my type of quarterback, but as far as building a dynasty, like if I'm going to leave after somebody, it's going to be the young guy that I know is a Konami, Justin Fields, the younger version of Josh Allen in Justin Fields, or the next Tom Brady that we're expecting to be in Joe Burrow. Just for the sake of the show, I'm going to go Joe Burrow and take what I know, which is the next Tom Brady. So I'm going to go Joe Burrow here at the 103. I really wanted to click Justin Fields, though. I will say that.
Oh, Joe Burrow. So how does it feel to have the third best fantasy quarterback of the 3 quarterbacks taken in the first 3 picks?
It hurts. It hurts because I wanted, like I said, I wanted Hurts.
Good
And it
pun,
hurts.
by the way. Great pun, Cody. You're on fire. Did you have pre-workout?
I got a glass of like a 70 milligram drink right here, but it's not that much. Not enough. More.
All right.
Neil, you're back on the clock. You got Mahomes. Are you going quarterback again?
Yeah, I think I want to get my quarterbacks sorted out. Say super flex. I want to get them boxed off, and then I can worry about the other positions. So I think, I say Josh Allen is tempting because he is that offense for the Bills. They keep going out and saying, well, we really like him, to not run, and we'll bring in Damian Harris, and we need him not to run. Yeah, very good, Sean. We know what's going to happen. He's going to run the ball.
Yeah.
It's almost inevitable at this point. We'll change, we'll do this, and eventually it gets to November. You think, oh, just screw it, just do it then.
Yeah, right. Especially in Buffalo, it's cold. They're like, just go, just do it.
Yeah, just do it. Just try not to hate yourself too much.
Yeah.
That's like why I didn't want to take him, because I was like, we've already seen the injuries start to creep in, and as soon as you see that, like with Lamar, the injuries crept in, and all of a sudden it's like there's no respect there anymore. I don't know.
See, I'm tempted with Justin Fields, but I'm still dubious about the fact that some people seem to be assuming that he's going to have this Jalen Hurts like leap this year. Yeah. But I just think the Bears were so run heavy, and that for them, even if they just improve a little bit, he'd have to be off the charts efficiency wise to get anywhere near what Jalen Hurts did. So I'm going to swerve the running at quarterbacks, and I'm going to go with Justin Herbert.
Ooh,
I respect it.
I do respect that. Turbo. Because let's face it, he's the guy that we're waiting for, that like mega jump. And if he does take it, he's in the same conversation as all the additional QB1s, at the top of the league. So can't hate on it. I want it. I can't.
I think, and he's got the weapons. That's the thing. It's like he's got the Allen. He's got Matt. Jesus, I'm about to call him Mike Williams. And
baseball.
I think we feel pretty good about them probably getting another receiver in this draft. Whether it's round 1 or round 2, it feels like they're going to do it again. So they're going to keep trying to feed him guys instead of take guys away from him, for example. I think when you compare like Fields, they're giving him weapons, but the weapons in Chicago aren't on the same level as Justin Herbert, or vice versa, where like Josh Allen, his weapons are getting old. They're starting to take away guys, and the guys they're bringing in, filling in there aren't on the same level. So yeah, I like that. I like Herbert there. Matty, where are you going?
So with Herbert off the board, Josh Allen still on the board, Justin Fields still on the board, I'm actually going to pivot off the quarterback entirely, because I do think I will be able to get one here in this next go around. Give me the Jetta. Give me the future Hall of Famer, the guy who's on a trajectory like no other receiver we have ever seen. 1,400, 1,600, 1,800 yards. And if I follow the old pattern game that I did in 3rd grade, 2,000 yards is next season, right?
I think that's how that works. 1,400, 1,600, 1,800.
I'm pretty sure if you count by twos, it goes 14, 16, 18, right?
It's just science.
It's just science. Thank you, Neil. Thank you.
As my cousin would say, this isn't rocket appliances. I like that though. Justin Jefferson, 105, especially with this is not going to be your standard draft, I don't think, based on us looking at this from a 3-team perspective. But I think Jefferson in that consideration, especially if you had a second pick here in the top 5, you might be like, okay, I'm going to get that number 1 receiver that I know is going to be there for the next decade. I respect that. And whilst I might want to try something sneaky like you're doing right now with Justin Jefferson, I'm not. I'm going to go with the quarterback position again, because as much as I just talked about Joe Burrow being the next Peyton Manning, Tom Brady-esque player, Trevor Lawrence is the next Peyton Manning-esque player. So if I can pair Peyton Manning with Tom Brady for the next 15 years, I'm going to do that, because they're both going to be guys that consistently are going to give you 25 fantasy points. I think, once they both Joe Burrow's engine's already running. I think Trevor Lawrence is just starting to get going up there. And I think you have a very consistent duo here in Superflex. And it might shock people taking Trevor Lawrence over Josh Allen or Konami and Justin Fields. But I think that what we saw last year in the elevation of that offense with Doug Peterson, and they bring in Calvin Ridley now, I think they're only going to continue to elevate pieces around him, which, well, not pieces around him. They're going to bring in pieces that'll elevate Trevor Lawrence, I think, over the next few years. So I'm going to go Trevor here at 106.
Interesting. Trevor Lawrence over Josh Allen. That's interesting. I like that. It's a little different. I think most startups right now would not see something like that happen.
Yeah.
I mean, Lawrence, he's not, you wouldn't call him a running quarterback, but he has flashed some mobility. He had a couple of games last year with, 20, 30 rushing yards. He's not, I don't think he's ever going to have, yet 70, 80, 100 games, but he's not a statue. He's going to chip in a bit. And, despite the fact his previous head coach didn't think he knew how to run a quarterback sneak. I think he probably can do that. If they get to, goal line, maybe they do use it selectively. So that does improve his stock somewhat, I think.
5 rushing touchdowns last year, 2 his first year, and 291, 334 rushing yards. Like it's not obviously it's not going to be on the same level of a Fields or even an Allen, but even Allen, we've seen they've pulled down him on some of his carries and stuff. So Trevor Lawrence does have the big enough frame, I think, at 6'6", 225 to be able to do those things. But like you said, like they're not going to force him to do that. He's just going to be able to. He's already athletic enough just to do it himself. So Neil, you started out Patty Mack and Justin Herbert. You got your 2 quarterbacks. Do you go quarterback again, or are you going for the team build right here and going to go elsewhere?
No, I'm going to try and build the pieces around my QBs. Nice. This is where even though it's Dynasty, there would be some elements of you'd like to stack or pair.
Mm-hmm.
But it's who do I pair with? Mahomes, as we know, throws to myself, you, and and Matty. They're the wide receivers. It's like Mahomes is going into side quests. Okay, I've done it with the stud wide receiver and the tight end. Okay, take the wide receiver, I'll just do it with the tight end. Next year, okay, I'll just do it with the long snapper. He just seems to be taking the piss. To be honest, I don't think any of Herbert's weapons, I don't think I need to take them here. So I'm gonna have to just completely swerve stacking, and I'll just go with Jamar Chase instead.
Oh,
take away Cody's stack. I like the.
I thought I had the stack at 109 there. I did. I really did think I had the stack coming there. I like that pick. That's a great call. I mean, you got the next best thing in line. If some consider would be a better talent than Justin Jefferson at one point, and right now I think that's a tier alone at the top of the Dynasty rankings at wide receiver. So. Good on you. You sniped me by 2 picks. I guess I wouldn't consider it a snipe because he's a top 10, top 8 guy. So good pick.
And you do usually see Jefferson and Chase being the 2 first non-quarterbacks taken in startups. So although this might be a little bit different pattern in terms of where they're going, you absolutely will not get a chance at either of those in the second round. So we're pretty lockstep, I think, right here with most Dynasty startups. Now, where do I go with the 108? Do I go with Fields? Do I go with Allen? I'm going to complete my super flex right now. On one hand, Josh Allen, his defense is getting worse and worse, and that division is getting more offensive-minded. Aaron Rodgers is still supposed to come to New York. Mac Jones has an offensive coordinator. You still get all the weapons down in Miami. Is there going to be more shootouts? But for all the reasons that we talked about earlier, I'm going to go with the guy who's 2 years younger, and I'm going to go with Justin Fields with the 108. And the reason being, I am in the thinking that DJ Moore on this offense does elevate this team to a level where we could see a little bit more of that Jalen Hurts possibility. Jalen Hurts, the year before they got AJ Brown, the Eagles were 29th in pass attempts per game. So they didn't throw the ball a whole lot. And even this year, they were only 23rd in pass attempts per game. But when you get a playmaker like an A.J. Brown or like a DJ Moore, I think that can help the efficiencies to the point where if the offense starts to cook, and let's face it, Chase Claypool, we don't love him, but he's not a bad number 3 option behind Mooney. And then if Cole Kmet, if they get another nice running back in the draft, this offense looks like a better picture overall sustainable drives, all that good stuff. So with all that, I'm going to go Fields because even at Ohio State, we didn't think he was a scrambler. We knew he could chuck it. So if he could chuck it, we know he's got the legs after last year. I'm going to go with him over Josh Allen, and I hope I don't regret it, but I might.
You guys are both assholes because my immediate thought was Chase, and then it was I could go Konami and just get my RB1 with Justin Fields. I meant no. Instead, I get.
You're gonna push him to the running back. You're gonna.
I was just gonna do it. I was just gonna say, you know what? I'm gonna take my third quarterback, but I'm gonna count him as a running back, and we're just gonna do the damn thing. But instead, I'm sitting here. All these quarterbacks now are gonna fall down. This is kind of funny how this is gonna go out. Lamb is on the board. AJ Brown's on the board. AJ Brown has been going earlier and earlier in some of these mocks that have been coming through Player Profiler, and the ADP tracker is about to deploy tomorrow, and AJ Brown looks like the number 3 right now as far as ADP goes across. I think it's like 65 leagues that we sunk in. So he's creeping up past Lamb for some people. I'm not going to go to either receiver here. I'm going to go to Bijan Robinson.
Ooh.
I'm going to take the running back here.
First running back off the board.
The first running back on the board in mock drafts right now has been Brees. It's been Jonathan Taylor, and it's been at the 12-13 spot. But I believe Bijan, by the time he touches the field, assuming he doesn't get nuked in the draft, I think he's going to be immediately put into that number 1 spot. And if you look at our rankings at playerprofiler.com already, you can see these rookies have been in here for a hot minute inside of the overall rankings. And at the running back position, Bijan Mustardson is 16 lifetime value points ahead of Kenneth Walker and is already the Dynasty running back uno.
It's fascinating seeing the difference between the experts, the mock draft for where Bijan's going to go. Like, you see some people, we know Howie Roseman doesn't take running backs in the first round, but it's like, no, you didn't need the but. It'd be lovely to see him on the Eagles, as an Eagles fan, it would be great. I think they've made it abundantly clear they're not interested.
Mm-hmm.
When Howie Roseman can spend £3 to £3.70 and assemble a running back room, he's not going to draft Bijan Robinson. Yeah. It's an absolute pipe dream. And you got some people, does he get past the Bengals? Does he get past the Bills? Does he drop to day 2?
Yeah.
Eagles fans, I'm terribly sorry. Dream on. It's not going to happen.
Especially with all the defensive players they've been losing. They need to fill those holes.
They've shown they can run the ball without a stellar, without the best prospects in Saquon. So while it'd be it'd be nice, but wouldn't it be great if they did? Yeah, but they won't. So I'm not engaging in this.
Yeah. Where do you think he goes, Neil? If you had to just guess right now, we had to pick a team. Where do you think he goes in this next month's draft?
It would not stun me in the slightest if Dallas thought, do you know what we really need to do after cutting the last first round running back? If we draft one in the first round again.
Yep.
But this one's really good.
Yeah. I don't want to see it because, they've tagged Pollard. Why not bring Zeke back? And then, I don't want to see it, but it wouldn't shock me.
Wouldn't that be the biggest marketing ploy ever? You just went through Zeke down there being like the biggest jersey sale and being the face of the franchise. And it's like, if there's anybody that's going to be bigger than Zeke or a bigger face of the franchise, that's going to be the guy that went to Texas and was the fan favorite in the state of Texas at the University of Texas and is the greatest running back since sliced bread, according to so many people, and bring him in there. And you would immediately vault him to number 1 in the NFL in jersey sales. And it would Jerry would just be like, we got Bijan. And it'd be like, it just makes too much sense.
You think they would give him 22? I mean, they gave Lamb 88. So maybe screw it. Let's just live in the past. Give Bijan 22.
See, I like the way the Cowboys do that. I don't like the many things the Cowboys do, but I like that they don't retire numbers, but they don't just give them out willy-nilly.
Yeah.
So it's like, no, if you get, it's like, if no one can be 20 for the Lions ever again. So it's not a question of, I don't want to be Barry Sanders. I just want to be the next great back. Whereas Dallas say, no. We're not just going to give out to the 7th rounder that we draft out of, I don't know, some community college. You're not getting 88, son. But when you take someone in the first round, okay, there's 88. own it for a while. I do like that. That's probably the only thing that they do that I do take my hat off to.
I don't know why I just thought of this when you brought up the Lions. I just wish that maybe the Lions would have given like Kerryon Johnson 20 or something like that.
Oh God, that Patricia did that. Oh my God, can you imagine? Can you imagine? Oh my Lanta.
All righty, let's get this baby right back on the rails. Neil, 110 here. You got Patty Mack, you got Justin Herbert, and you got your wide receiver in Jamar Chase. Where are you going 110?
See, I'm thinking, do I start dipping the water into the running backs now that someone else has? Do I go for another wide receiver? But I think, given the format and given the build that we can get, with let's say how many players we can actually pick here, I think I'm going to stop the slide and I'm going to take Josh Allen.
Nice pick, Neil. I was going to do that. I was going to do the exact same thing.
It's due, right? It was. I mean, it came far enough. It's far enough. Like it's.
He's been in the green room long enough. He's got the sad. I'm not really upset, but I'm dying inside smile on him. It's time to end it.
Sweating absolute bullets. He's like, I thought I was the best quarterback in football. What is this?
So I am now up with the 111. Do I go stack or do I go with the player that I like more? That's the question I have in my head. And I'm going to go with the CD Lamb here with the 111 as my second wide receiver, coming off of his best season, over 100 catches, 1,300 receiving yards. Absolutely played the part of the number one pass catcher in this offense. I think Brandon Cooks does a lot to help him. I don't think he's that type of presence that's going to command a lot of those targets, but he is going to help him in terms of navigating through opposing defenses. And he's top 6 in receiving yards, top 6 in yards per route run, which is a metric I like to look at to see if a receiver is really holding his own. And CD Lamb has done that. So give me Lamb as my wide receiver too. I'm pretty excited so far. I'm not gonna lie.
God damn, man. You I think that was a very savvy move you did there with the Jefferson thing. I like that, man. I'm kind of jealous. Your team's looking mighty fine.
Did you just give me a slight compliment here?
You got me in a tizzy tonight, bro. You got me in a tizzy. Neil's over here making decisive, smart decisions, sniping, and you're just over here taking value. And I'm just like, fucking hey, what am I doing tonight? I should probably go receiver here, huh? I should probably go. I got my 2 quarterbacks, my 2 all-timers, and I got my all-time running back. So now it's time to grab an all-time wide receiver. And there is none on the board, but there's a pretty good one, and his name's A.J. Brown. He's paired up with Jalen Hurts out there in Philadelphia, and we saw him immediately turn into what we expected him to be as a rookie in a second year. And he was good in Tennessee, don't get me wrong, but he took himself to a next level in Philadelphia, and I think he's going to continue to elevate being with a guy like Devonta Smith, who has the talent to be a number 1, but is probably one of the best, if not the best, number 2 in the league right now, that elevates and allows A.J. Brown to be in the conversation, like I said a minute ago, to be considered maybe wide receiver 3 in Dynasty and wide receiver 4, and then at least be in that conversation, whereas it started to fade away, like we saw Juju 4 years ago get elevated and then immediately regress. AJ elevated, regressed, and he's bounced back, and he's staying up there in that conversation. So I'm going to go AJ here with my wide receiver 1. And that'll do round 1. And through round 1, we each have 4 picks in. Neil has Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Jamar Chase, and he added that third quarterback, that lethal third quarterback in this triflex. I mean superflex here. So
triflex.
He did draft a player on his bench, so it was a good first round for Neil. But he did draft a bench player. It's all right. It's all right. Matty, Jalen Hurts. He gets Justin Jefferson. He comes back with Justin Fields. So he's got the KonamiCity.com going on with Jalen Hurts and Justin Fields. I absolutely am jealous of that. With wide receiver 1, Justin Jefferson. And then he comes back with CD Lamb, who many are considering wide receiver 3, like I mentioned a minute ago. I grabbed Joe Burrow and Trevor Lawrence, the next Tom Brady and Peyton Manning, as well as Bijan Robinson and A.J. Brown. Through round 1, quickly, how do you guys feel?
I feel great. And if this was a 1 pick in this round, I do typically go quarterbacks, obviously in Superflex, but I do like to push running back. So the plan is consistent with how I like to build the team so far. And I'm excited to get in the round 2s and 3s because I think I'm going to keep piling on this value.
Yeah, as I say, I mean, I have, as you pointed out, drafted a player for my bench, but my plan is, let these 3 guys just battle it out in camp. and I'll pick the two who are best. They get to play.
And then the other guy could just play on the bye week,
They'll all get their reps.
Opportunities. I like it. Do you guys have a favorite value if you were looking at this from a zoomed out view, just at Dynasty overall? Is there a guy? I'm not going to say on the board still because we still have a round to go, but is there a guy that you think went too high or too low if you zoomed out, and if you were going to do a different Dynasty startup in general, and you had one pick in round one? Where's the spot you would like to be?
I kind of do. I like being in the top 5 or 6. I do like to come away with one of those elite quarterbacks. Obviously, Josh Allen falling to the 10th pick isn't typically what happens in a startup. But yeah, if I get that top 6 pick, I think I'm coming away with, if at worst a Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, and I'm okay with that given their age and their upside. So that's what I like. I like top half of the first round.
Yeah, I agree. It's because of the importance of the quarterback position in this format, obviously being early and getting one of the top guys, it's a headache you don't have to worry about.
Yes.
You don't have to say, well, all I need is, Jared Goff and Tua to catch fire and Patrick Mahomes just to decide I can't be bothered to. And you just you're wishing against the inevitable then, and I never like to do that.
Yeah, that makes sense. And that's always a tough thing. Right now, we do have a bevy of these top-end quarterbacks, so it does make being in the top 6 that much more important, that much bigger. When you look at the lifetime values at the quarterback position in Superflex especially, you can see the massive drop-off it goes. Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow all have over 600 lifetime value points, and then it's a massive drop-off to the mid-400s where Herbert, Lawrence, and Fields are. But even that is so much higher than anybody else in fantasy right now for us, where it drops down to Justin Jefferson. The first non-quarterback is all the way down to 384, so it's almost half the value of one of these top-end quarterbacks. And the receivers can't even reach that range of outcomes. So, yeah, I think what you said, just being in that top 6 is so important, and hitting on it and having somebody like that instead of being like, well, I just take Goff in the later parts of the draft and bet on him keeping that job for the remainder of the year, or not getting a rookie come in and imagine eventually take the job away from him. So I do agree with that. Neil, round 2, you're on the clock at the 201. What is the play?
I'm thinking of now adding my first running back, and it's a choice between 2 second-year players. So it's between Kenny Walker and Breece Hall. If Hall wasn't coming off an ACL, he'd be the auto pick, because I think he's going to have more of a role in the passing game. We know that the Seahawks want to establish hard, but they don't want to involve Kenneth Walker too much in the passing game. So you're banking on him, with his big plays. But, it's still, Breece Hall, when he suffered his injury, you'd think the injury timeline would be well enough. But I still can't shake the fact, what if the Jets don't get Rodgers? What if something goes wrong and that offense is putrid? So I'm going to go with Ken Walker.
And we do need to edit that because it is Ken Walker. We actually asked John Schneider at the NFL Combine about Kenneth Walker, and he said you shouldn't call him Kenneth. You should call him Ken because he's an angry little troll. So I think everybody out there in fantasy land needs to know that. Do not call Ken Walker Kenneth because he's an angry little troll. Per John Schneider. My question for you, Neil, you brought up Breece Hall with the Jets. Is he even in this conversation if Zeke Elliott signs there? I know Zeke was like, I want to go there. And it's like, well, maybe they don't want you. Where there's also Michael Carter. There's also Zonovan Knight. Does any of that play come into it, considering the knee injury as well as having guys like Zonovan, Michael Carter there, and even the thought of bringing in another guy?
I think it would be a slight worry because if you're bringing in Zeke, you're bringing him in to, have the Jerome Bettis line. It was three carries, -1 yard, 3 touchdowns. And that obviously, hampers Hall somewhat.
Yeah.
But Zeke's not going to steal passing down work. Carter, I think he took a step back last year. He could have been a fun little piece. Zonovan Knight is, he's just a guy, I think. There's still got Ty Johnson, I think. He's got great hair, that comes out of the helmet. It looks great, but it looks better than he plays. So it would be a worry. I mean, that thing with Zeke, I'd like to play for the Jets, the Bengals, or the Eagles. Yeah, that's great, Zeke. I'd like to go out with Anna Kendrick or Natalie Portman. It's more of an aspirational than these teams have not reached out to you. So it would be an annoyance if he went to the Jets, but I don't think he'd be battling for. He might steal some of the the highest of high value touches, but he's not going to push him out in terms of the big workload.
I could just imagine Joe Douglas sitting there with Robert Saleh and they go, "Hey, Zeke wants to come here," and he goes, "So."
Cool.
What about him? What about him, dude? What about maybe 10 years ago, maybe. So I like that Ken Walker. I think it is pretty clear right now. I think Brees stays in that conversation. It is. I think it's an interesting thought though, given the talent that is around Brees. Having him, I love Brees, but being around Taylor and Barkley, where there really isn't much competition next to them, and Brees coming off the knee injury, it's an interesting thought process. But I do agree, Ken Walker, I think, is clearly ahead. Matty 202. Are you going to finally go running back?
I am not going running back. I think I'm going to go the Neil route. I like the strategy of grabbing the third quarterback because in such a value position in Superflex, you want to make sure you have everything covered. I wanted Josh Allen. Was going to take him where I took Lamb at the 111. He wasn't available. So if I can't get Josh Allen, maybe I should get a quarterback whose best comparable player is Josh Allen. Maybe I should get the quarterback who has the highest athleticism score in the history of the quarterback position, according to playerprofile.com. Maybe I should take the quarterback who literally threw the football off the roof. Give me Anthony Richardson with the 202. I don't need him to start. I just need him to marinate on my bench with this team build. Could have went Kyler, but he's going to hurt this year, so he's going to do nothing for me. Dak, he's fine. I don't really care so much, but he doesn't do it for me being on my bench. Same thing with Cousins. Same thing with, I was going to say same thing with Lamar, but I don't know. There's bad juju around him. Give me the rookie. Give me the kid who's not even old enough to drink yet. He can marinate, learn from the best. Give me A-Rich, baby.
I'm so jealous of how your build is right now, having Hurts and now Fields and now Richardson. You got the Konamis. I can only imagine who you're going to go at 205 if you get a fourth quarterback. But
Quad City, baby, Quad City.
You did miss out though. I mean, Will Levis threw the ball off the roof. Will Levis is pretty athletic. Will Levis is comparable to Josh Allen. I mean, come on.
Will Levis also doesn't have 99th percentile speed and burst.
Yeah, you got me beat there. I don't have a good argument for that. But I do like having Richardson on your bench. You get to let him marinate. That's what he needs for a year, right? We knew he needed to go back to school maybe for a year, and I think he probably would end up winning the Heisman. But he comes out, got to get that bag, and he gets to sit behind the one and only Jalen Hurts and Justin Fields. So if you're going to learn how to be the best Konami in the game, you got to learn from some of the best in the game. Richardson right here. I have one running back. I have one receiver, two quarterbacks. I think I'm going to go running back again. You know what? No, I'm gonna follow the receiver route.
Ooh, he's tilting. He's tilting the world.
I hate this. Oh,
someone put a quarter in the merry-go-round.
Shut the fuck up. All right, you know what? I'm going DK Metcalf.
Ooh, good pick.
I'm going DK Metcalf because I love my alphas. I want to pair AJ Brown back up with DK and Ole Miss. The Ole Miss boys come together on this fantasy football team. And I know that DK's situation is only going to continue to get better because he's got Geno, one of the most accurate quarterbacks in football. He's got Lockett there. Lockett's an aging man, and DK is coming into his own where he should start to obtain 140, 160, 180 targets, I think, is a trajectory that I would like to start to expect out of a DK Metcalf to be up into that range. And I think he's a guy coming off the board here, wide receiver. What is he, 5? This is a area that I've always thought he belongs in. Some people considered him in the lower, closer to 10. I think he is one of the best players, if not, the most athletic wide receiver in football, but is disrespected, I think, being in Seattle. And if they do draft a quarterback, which it seems like they have interest in doing, whether it's in the top 5 or in the late part of round 1 or early part of round 2, maybe with a Hendon Hooker. They at least want to improve that position and continue to build. And I don't think Pete Carroll's of the interest in losing and sucking for a season. So I think they're going to continue to try and win, which will only help DK for the next at least 4 or 5 years. DK Metcalf, 203. That's the pick.
Nice. Can't hate on it. Love DK. Should continue to climb. And if Tyler Lockett does ever regress or leave the team altogether, it's just going to vacate more targets for him to eat.
I'd agree. I agree with that. Neil, you're back on the clock. You took Ken Walker. We got a couple of Seattle Sea Chickens go off the board here. The early put around 2. Where are we going with the 204?
Well, it looks like I didn't have to weigh it up my last pick too much because I'm going to get the other guy anyway. So I'll take Breece Hall.
I was thinking about Breece right there, and I was like, I just can't do it with the injury. You're not worried about the injury at all? Well, as far as it's happening early in his career, but my thought is he's right next to Taylor and Barkley. Both guys have already went through their issues with injury. Do you think that Breece long-term with players around him, with Rodgers, without Rodgers, is there a lot of question mark there as far as what he can bring? And can he elevate and be that number 1 overall running back, do you think?
I think he could be. I mean, the Jets' offense fell off. It didn't fall off so much when Zach Wilson came back into the start lineup. It fell off when Breece Hall got injured and they had to rely on Zach Wilson. So, that's like asking a toddler to watch the stove for an hour. Well, I told you to keep an eye on this. I did. It burnt the house down, but I never took my eyes off it. And that's, thanks, Zach. You've done really well there. So I think Hall, he was just starting to show that he could be the workhorse. His touches and his targets were going up every week. Then he got hurt. He's still the best player. And I say there's pieces around him, but he was going past those pieces before he got hurt. It's a bit of a risk, but I think having him as my second running back, where I've gone with Ken Walker first, it offsets that risk a little bit.
I like it. Matty, are you going Lamar Jackson here or what?
No, I am actually going to chill out with the quarterbacks. I got my 3. I'm pretty happy with that. I am actually going to go with the first tight end off the board. Give me Travis Kelce.
Oh.
Even last year, he had the lowest snap share of his career at 80.8%. Route participation rate was down to below 85%. Doesn't matter. Still first in targets at the position. Still third in air yard share. Number 1 receiving yards. Number 1 yards after catch. Number 2 yards per out run. Number 1 in yards per team a pass attempt amongst qualified tight ends. He's still the dude in a position that's a complete dumpster fire with shit. Surrounded by shit that you just don't know is shit yet. Give me the stone fire beast in Travis Kelce.
But he's no good at picking out what NFL head coaches look like.
That was hilarious. That was so funny. The fact he gets closer to, he's like, I don't know who the fuck that is.
Bennett Clark says, what am I missing? Josh Allen 110. If you couldn't tell, Bennett, we are indeed drafting a 3-team 5-round draft. So we're each going to have 20 players on our roster. So this is an abnormal Superflex PPR startup. That's why Matty just reached 77 picks to take Travis Kelce at the 205 because he's team building. We're team building. At the same
time, though, I've done a number of startups this year. Travis Kelce is not even in the later half of the second round in most of these startups. So the fact that he's so low in our ranks, I understand why, but he's still not going that late. If you were to get him in round 3 or 4 in a startup, you are laughing your way to the mother effing bank.
I can't argue with you.
It's a first.
I can't argue with you. But I'm going to reach myself. I'm going to reach around to myself, and I'm going to take Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Whoa, wait a second. Every time I've ever selected this man in our rookie mocks, you say I'm president of Mid-City. I am the mayor of Midsville. And then you take him with names like Jonathan Taylor, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jalen Waddle still on the board? What gives?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Because I went through and looking at, let's see, I'm going to pull up my ranking right now. And I'm sticking true to my ranking. I'm not actually. Garrett Wilson's still on the board. But if I look at my cornerstone rankings over at patreon.com/executives, where you can find a little mini announcement there. More to come tomorrow with my boy Matty Kiwoom. These will be released over the next couple weeks, these cornerstone rankings. I would have Jackson Smith-Njigba third over the course of the last 2 classes and the next 2 classes, behind Garrett Wilson and ahead of Drake London, and behind Chase Wilson and then Jackson Smith right there. So yeah, that is going against my against the grain a little bit. But I do think now that I'm looking at this, I do think that I trust the landing spot for Jackson. I trust that he does have the upside to get to the level of a Garrett Wilson and or surpass. We've heard Garrett and Chris Olave both talk about how good Jackson is, about how much better he is than they are even. And he showed that obviously last year with the 1,600-yard season playing with them both. I was never of the ilk that I trusted that he was actually better. Did I believe that he was better? But then this year, going through the entire process, seeing the athleticism come to fruition, similar to what we saw from the likes of Justin Jefferson when he came out of LSU, and we expected the athleticism not quite to be on the level that it was. Jackson is kind of taken in a smaller version of that, where he did run in the 4.5s, where we expected 4.6s. The shuttle 3-cone were ridiculous, and he's checked every box. He's answered every question. So Jackson Smith-Njigba, wide receiver 3 for my team. I'm playing the long game. I want him for the next 16 years.
Okay. So now I know next time we do a rookie mock, and I take him, and you start picking on me for it. I'm just gonna clip.
I don't think I ever attacked you for taking Jackson
every
Smith.
single time. Every single time. I think you hit the snooze. No, you hit the snooze sounder last time I took him. So
I think
I'm gonna clip
you
this.
took Quentin Johnston, man. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I think you're full of shit.
Nope.
Man.
I'm just gonna make sure I got that pick, got that proof, got those receipts.
Wrong.
Yeah.
Jackson Smith-Njigba. Trust the process. Neil, my man, you're on the clock. You got both the running backs here in round 2.
I think I'm going to continue. Yeah, I think I'm going to continue that theme, because the next wide receiver I'd be considering would be Garrett Wilson, and I do not want to be overweight on the Jets.
That's
That's a recipe for disaster.
That's a good point.
One of my friends is a Jets fan, and bless him. He has suffered. Should we say he's the reason? I mean, when I first started watching the NFL, it was like I don't know what I'm watching. So he helped guide me through, and then he went, "Well, you'll probably enjoy it more, if you actually had a team." So I don't know. Why don't you support the Eagles? So he gave me the Eagles while he supported the Jets.
What a nice guy.
What an idiot. So having seen how much he's suffered and how much this team can go down the Swanee in very, very short space of time, I don't want too many pieces of it. So I'm going to go for another running back, and I think I'm going to go JT.
Fuck. You gotta.
That's a stable.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah,
That
I
is
was
a
gonna say
stable
Trove.
right now.
I was gonna say Trove, but you got a goddamn stable of brutes back there. Ken Walker, Breece Hall, Jonathan Taylor. I mean, it looks like a start of a 1 QB dynasty league here in round 2. But I like it. Oh, Matty, I don't think you have a running back yet. Your team's kind of falling apart. Where are you going?
No,
here?
I'm gonna stay. I'm still staying off on running back. I think I can pick it up later. But where I'm really kind of looking here, oh man, I'm torn between what my heart's telling me to do, what my head's telling me to do. So Cody, why don't you break the tie? Head or heart?
Always good. Think with your head.
Okay. All right. So then I'll go Garrett Wilson. I'll go with the number 5 wide receiver
Wrong head.
in
Wrong
our
head.
dynasty ranks.
Wrong
Wrong
head.
head. I only got one head. What are you talking about? Wait. This is a family show, sir. What are you talking about? What? Wait a second. Time out. Pause from this show. What is your
Wrong
head saying
head.
when we're looking at a bunch of football players? Where does your head go? Huh? Oh, what are you doing here? Give me Garrett Wilson. Let's move on. This is your plan to get me going, but it's all right. Garrett Wilson, number 5 dynasty wide receiver on our ranks. I won't lie though, I am a little nervous with if Aaron Rodgers comes in. If Aaron Rodgers is bowling the Giants up, fucks things up, starts throwing too much to Allen Lazard, brings in Randall Cobb, could that hurt? But I'm going to bank on the talent, and I'm going to bank on Garrett Wilson.
mean, it would be hilarious if a man who complained that his team didn't give him weapons for so many years goes to a new team and takes all the weapons with him.
Yeah, he takes all the bad weapons with him.
I was listening to somebody talk about this the other day, and they were talking about how God, I wish I could remember exactly who it was. They were talking about literally that, where like there's all these weapons that are in place, Elijah Moore, and you're getting rid of Elijah Moore and you're bringing in Alan Lazard. It's like, okay, well, that's only going to hurt Garrett Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a multitude of things where it's like, I want my team to be under my control, but I also want talent around me. But I wish I could remember exactly who's talking about it on a podcast. But nonetheless, it is kind of like one of those weird things where he's like, I don't got enough weapons, but now he's got like a whole Brady bunch of people that he wants to bring with him everywhere he goes.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're sitting here. I'm at the 209. I'm trying to remember. I have Bijan. I got 3 receivers. I think it's time to go back to the running back position and take the one guy that is left in that tier, and it's Saquon Barkley. I don't really have a lot of commentary on him. He's got 1 year left in New York, I think, and then I think he will be departing next year. Get that bag, and I'm just gonna roll with 2 freak show talents in Bijan Robinson, Saquon Barkley, and I think me and Neil are now tag team in the running back position and forcing Matty into oblivion, and I am enjoying it.
I can't wait for my next pick. Can't wait. Bring it.
Well, you're not up yet, so it's Neil. Neil gets to go again, and then you get to have the 9th string running back.
See, I'm already up to my own personal tolerance for running backs now, especially in a row.
One more time.
You know, if he saw this, Denny Carter would never speak to me again. If he saw how many running backs I'm taking here, I'm going to go back to the wide receivers, and I'm going to go with Chris Olave.
Yes, I love that.
If they could just get him a quarterback at some point, just if they could, the Saints just fancy. No, I mean I've got a lot of time for Derek Carr, but if he's the answer, I don't know what the question is.
Are you worried about Carr at quarterback? Would you prefer they go after a rookie? Do you care for Carr? Do you care for Jameis Winston? Like, what do you think is the optimal next 6 years for Chris Olave?
I mean, as we stand now, Derek Carr is probably the best starting quarterback in that division, which is a bit like saying you're the best singer in One Direction. It sounds impressive, but when you actually look at it, who cares? I mean, he's got, we've got Michael Thomas, who, I think we've heard this song before. Oh, he's not quite 100% yet. Oh God, every year with this. We've got, Raheed Shaheed, who was a nice find. They've still got Taysom Hill. They're never going to quit him. I think he's got pitches on someone. But Olave was an absolute beast. He was the air yards monster. And Derek Carr, over the last couple of years, has shown that he is prepared to go deeper more often. So, I'd prefer, I'd rather they had Carr than a rookie, because the rookie they're going to get now is going to be raw. So I'd rather they had Carr, but what that means beyond 2 years when we start getting into the funny money of his deal, I don't know. But I need to start taking wide receivers. So.
I like that. I can't hate on it. And you're right. Derek Carr's shown the ability to go downfield and also be pretty effective downfield. So Olave could absolutely eat there. And my only worry, it's just a gut feeling, is if Michael Thomas is healthy, do the 2 vets go buddy? But I don't know. That wouldn't be enough to deter me from Olave.
I agree. Are you going running back here, or are you going to keep on this? Like, you going to take Lamar, or like maybe the 4th tight end or something?
Well, I could take the 2nd tight end. So learn to count, Cody, because I only have 1. After 1, it's 2, and then it's 3, and then I guess I would take the 4th. But I'm not going to.
My family would call it Hayfield math. I grew up in a town of about 127, and we weren't exactly thought of as an enlightened individuals, so I'd call it Hayfield math for coming out there with the Hayfield math.
You said 127 people, but you can't count, so it's probably more like 185 people. But
that's debatable. It might be more like 16, but
just one class worth of human beings in the town. But Neil mentions One Direction. Give me the running back who looks like he could be a member of One Direction, Christian McCaffrey, the mega producer. Give me him.
How many games are you going to get out of Christian McCaffrey this year?
Well, since I got 17 out of them last year, I'm thinking 16.
Fair. That's fair. That's fair. All right. I'm gonna go receiver here, and I'm gonna go with Amon-Ra St. Brown. He should be long gone. He should be
Oh,
off the
the
board.
number 2 wide receiver in Detroit. I love it.
Are they drafting Quentin Johnston?
Why? So they can get a number 3 receiver? They do need a Josh Reynolds replacement, right? So yeah, why not?
I like it. Yeah, Amon-Ra, I think he's just a target hog. We're playing PPR
great.
here. And I'm just going to add him to the group. Another PPR guy with Jackson. I got AJ. I got DK. I like Amon-Ra as my wide receiver 4. And now that puts us through 2 rounds. We're at the 49-minute mark. How do you guys feel about just doing 3 rounds? You want to do 4 rounds? I think if we push to 5, we're going to be here till midnight. How many rounds you guys feeling?
I think let's check in after 3. Let's do either 3 or 4, but we'll check in after 3.
All right,
and
sounds
as
like
I
a plan.
say, speaking from the future, some of us have already eclipsed midnight.
We were sitting together where Neil lost his blue check mark over in England.
That's
So
just it.
You already
I
lose
think
it?
it's forever.
You lost it minutes ago?
I think because it's now the 1st of April, in this illegitimate time zone of ours. So I think I haven't checked. I will check. I don't want to check. I'll never sleep. The tears will keep my family awake.
I will say I just checked. You still have a blue check mark, so you're living strong here.
All
Screw
right.
you, Elon.
Fighting the good fight.
Don't mess with me, Elon. You strange looking man.
Elon might have 200 Billy, but you got the best 3 running backs in this draft, so he can suck it.
Exactly. I think let's see. I think I'm going to go another wide receiver, and it's another dichotomy, as the Podfather says. It's now between former Alabama wide receivers, and I'm torn between either Waddle or Devonta Smith. Screw it. I'll go with Devonta Smith.
All right. Can I ask
Slim
you a
Reaper,
question?
baby.
Can I ask you a question about that? Because you're kind of in the same tier or a conversation along the lines of so technically, obviously Smith, wide receiver 2 next to AJ Brown, Waddle number 2 next to Tyreek Hill. Then we have T. Higgins in that same tier next to Jamar Chase. There's a wide receiver between those guys named Drake London with a quarterback situation kind of in flux. Is that a guy that you would think long-term in Dynasty with a quarterback? If I gave you, let's see, Derek Carr, if I gave him Derek Carr, would you prefer him over the likes of a Smith or a Waddle because he's the, in quotes, wide receiver 1 in that offense?
No, not while Arthur Smith's there. I think he's on a mission to annoy every fantasy manager on the planet.
Yeah.
And, this is a team that took, Kyle Pitts 4, Drake London 8. And what do you do? You run the living piss out of the ball. It must be a bit. It can't be a strategy. So if Arthur Smith wasn't there and an actual, I'm not going to say competent coach because I do think Arthur Smith is competent. I just think he's a vindictive prick. And he's got a grudge against fantasy football, so he's going to make us all suffer for it. So if they had another coach, I might be more inclined towards London because, as you say, he is the guy. But it's so hard to trust because, we don't know what the quarterback situation is. And Arthur Smith has made it personal.
So you think we're looking at like at least probably the next, and I would say probably at least next 2-3 years because they're going to try and build this thing out. They're technically in in the midst of their build. So you think the next 2-3 years are going to be tough for the likes of Drake London? Sounds like.
If you play in leagues that award points for pass blocking snaps, he's the 101. But I worry if you actually want actual fantasy production.
Fair point. I like it. Matty, now you're up. Devonta's off the board. Amon-Ra's off the board. What's the move?
Basically, I was going to let Neil make my decision for me. He took Smith. I'm taking Waddle. Had he taken Waddle, I would have taken Smith and got my stizzy. But with that being said, give me Jalen Waddle. He kind of checked all the boxes for me last year. Number 1 in yards per target, number 1 in yards per reception, and number 4 in the league amongst qualified wide receivers with 2.81 yards per route run. Checks those boxes, and I think even with Tua, the uncertainty of his health keeps getting his noggin knocked off the turf. They brought in Mike White, who should at least keep the pass catchers happy if Tua can't play. So I'm going to go with Waddle and be okay with that.
I like it. We're trying to sort through and create these more broken out into teams. You have 2 running backs. Okay. I'm going to add a running back to this stable, and I'm going to pair him with his quarterback, and his name's Travis Etienne. We're going to go right here. He's going to be my RB3 right next to Saquon, Bijan. Give me Travis Etienne with Trevor Lawrence.
Okay. Not a bad pick there. I was actually, now I'm kind of upset. I could have taken him at the 302, got my nice RB2 pairing, but I went with, I couldn't deny the how tantalizing Waddle is, and now I regret it. I do.
I was looking at ETM myself for the next one. The issue I've got is he's not going to catch passes. It's even with I know when you have a talent like Jermichael Hasty, you have to get him on the field. So I see where Doug is going with this, but it just looks like, especially with Christian Kirk, now with Calvin Ridley, Zay Jones, Evan Ingram, the options to throw to ETN aren't there. So I just don't see him ever, getting that 5-6. If he ever had a game of, where he went 6 for 70, I'd be absolutely stunned because a lot would have had to have gone wrong. So I just don't see it happening.
All right, we're back to you, Neil.
Okay, I'm going to dip my water into my favourite position, as it were. And I'm going to take Mark Andrews. Even though we don't know what they're going to do with quarterback this year, don't know what the long-term goal is. What we've seen over the last 30 years is the Baltimore Ravens cannot draft wide receivers and should not be allowed to try. But they will make it an absolute art form to go out and sign or trade for 30-something wide receivers who are a little bit productive. Thanks very much. I can't imagine why Lamar Jackson isn't that happy. But we saw that when Jackson plays, he targets Andrews. We saw that when it wasn't Jackson and he brought in, Huntley, Anthony Brown, Trent Dilfer, whoever it was, they target Mark Andrews. So he's the closest thing to a sure thing they've got. So I'm happy to have him here.
Well, I want to go. I want to jump on the tight end train as well. Maddie,
you might have to.
Tight end.
You
already got a tight end.
I'm a tight end. I'm not going to take the 4th tight end like you said. But I am going to take.
I wasn't going to tease you.
I am going to take, I think, my 6th receiver. I just can't help it. I love receivers in startups. I think that those are the guys that I really like to draft early. And I'm going to take my guy here. Okay, if you've ever watched any of my stuff or this show or anything, this is my guy. He's number 14 in our wide receiver dynasty ranks, but he's number 1 in my heart. And I'm going to complete my stack. Give me DJ Moore. Over the last 3 years, he's finished top 8 in unrealized air yards because his quarterbacks have been diggity dog shit. This year, he's going to play with a round 1 talent in Justin Fields. That chemistry is going to be off the hook. We saw them going to a basketball game or a hockey game, whatever it was, mere minutes after he arrived in Chicago. We're going to see this relationship take off. Just, I think, pretty closely to how Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown did. So give me DJ Moore to link up with Justin Fields, and now I'm cooking. I'm loving it because now I got my guy.
I knew you were going to take DJ Moore at some point. That was a given. That was a given.
I don't know. No way in hell. I am not taking the wide receiver 2 in Cincinnati over the wide receiver 1 who's going to ball out and have his best career season. Absolutely not senior football.
So I'm going to ask you this question. Do you think that DJ Moore can kind of do what A.J. Brown did last year? He's going to play with the Konami. I know we've already gotten the lines tied between Fields and Hurts. I think obviously these offenses are in a bit different space than they are comparable. But DJ Moore, similar situation, did good, but was never peak. He never hit his peak in the place where he was drafted. Now he gets traded to an opportunity with a quarterback that's rising. Do you see any lines tied between DJ and AJ? And do you see a potential 1,400-yard season this year out of a DJ Moore?
I do. I really, really do. He had 3 seasons in a row with 1,100 receiving yards, playing with me, you, and Neil throwing him the football. And let's not forget, I know we have a little bit of fatigue because this is going to be his 6th year in the league, but I think he has a better prospect profile than A.J. Brown does. He's faster. He has a better speed score, burst score. He was drafted earlier in the NFL draft. He's a little bit lighter. He's about 16 pounds lighter, but I don't think that's enough to deter him. He was more productive in college. He broke out earlier than A.J. Brown did in college. So I don't think that we can really act like A.J. Brown's this super freak wide receiver or DJ Moore's mid. It's not true. DJ Moore is the elite prospect that these guys are. He was just unfortunate to play with diggity dog shit quarterbacks, and now he's not. And I know, like I said earlier in the show, I don't think Chase Claypool and Darnell Mooney are absolute world beaters, but they are good enough to make sure that the opposing defenses can't just shut him down. And they're going to scheme him to get him the ball, and Justin Fields takes that leap forward. I think we all kind of expect it, and DJ Moore is going to be the catalyst behind it.
I like it. I'm sold. I'm not going running back here at the 3-6. I'm thinking about it, but I got 3. I'm content with 3 for now. I'm going to go wide receiver. I got 4. I'm going to add a 5th, and I'm going to go with a guy who is the uno in his offense, and he's going to continue to be the uno in his offense. He's aging. I think he's 29. Stephon Diggs, though, still one of the best route runners in all of football, and I'm going to pair him here as the wide receiver 5 behind AJ, DK, Jackson, Amon-Ra. I get Stephon Diggsy right here, 306. Come on down.
Love Diggsy. Love him.
Neil, you have 3 quarterbacks, 3 running backs, 3 receivers, and you just got your tight end. You're balanced across the board, I would say. Where are you feeling the value?
I'm looking at a couple of players. There's everyone's favorite fantasy running back, Austin Eckler. He's still there. Don't know what's going to happen. I suspect he'll probably remain with the Chargers. They might just, pony up a bit more cash for him. I don't want to take T. Higgins because I've already taken Chase. And, as great as it can be, you can never have enough good players. There's still a little bit of uncertainty there. You don't want T. Higgins to, what if he gets traded and gets the big contract and goes to play for someone that sucks? Then that's torpedoed. Tyreek Hill's still there. He's still got a couple of good years, maybe. There's no real running backs here that are exciting me at this stage. I mean, Josh Jacobs, I don't, I think the Raiders will use him up and then he'll go and play someone else next year and be a shell of himself. Screw it. I'll take Tyreek Hill.
Good pick. The cheetahs, he's still got it. He's still got enough in the tank.
You got a pretty sick, pretty speedy quad of receivers here with Chase, Olave, Devonta, I guess, isn't as fast as the other guys, and then Tyreek Hill. I like the build there. For some reason, I just thought that you had Jalen Waddle, but I think that's Matty has Jalen
I got
Waddle. I was going to say, it's kind of a weird dynamic there. We're going to get Tua later as your QB4, but I like it. Tyreek Hill, plug him in. That's a good pick. Matty, where are your eyes at? You got a shit ton of receivers. You got your tight end, and you have Christian McCaffrey.
Yep. And I'm okay sticking with the old running back. Give me Austin Eckler.
I knew it.
I'm with Neil here. I do think they pony up. I think maybe they could be waiting to see if they can get someone in the draft that can kind of incentivize them to maybe not pony up the money. I don't know what they're waiting for because he's such an integral part to this offense as a whole. But I'm okay with grabbing him. And even if he goes to a shitty team, I still think he's so good in the passing game. PPR, he can absolutely be my running back too.
I was looking at Eckler that last round, but I was like, man, I don't know. Put him in wide receiver, running back 4. I like my 3 studs in front of him. He's aging. That's a good build for you. It looks at it shows the real. I don't know what I'm thinking of, tactic, I guess, to say that you're just going to fade the running back position for a minute, understanding that the age is going to fall when me and Neil are scooping up these young dogs. Because you're going to be able to cobble together multiple seasons, or at least a couple seasons out of McCaffrey and Eckler going forward, as well as a couple other guys that are on here that are aging or that are just getting disrespected as far as value goes. Maybe, with like the Najees and the Jacobses and even the rookies. But I do like that. I do like that pick. I'm looking at receiver here, but I'm not looking at wide receiver. I'm looking at tight receiver. His name is Kyle Pitts. Give me the guy that, as Neil would allude to, is going to be doing a lot of run blocking, kind of similar to Drake London. And Jonnu Smith is now in the offense. I'm sure Jonnu's probably going to out target him in probably 7 of the games this season. It wouldn't surprise me, as well as take probably 84 carries on the ground. And Jonnu probably does finish ahead of Kyle Pitts in fantasy. But guess what? I'm here for the allure. I'll buy the upside. I'll buy the all-time talent in Kyle Pitts. 309. We each have a tight end now. I had the youngest one, probably arguably the most talented one, but right now I think comparing the three, it's weird to say that I would rather have Kelsey for the next 5 years than have Kyle Pitts, because I just have no trust in that whole entire situation. But I'll take Pitts just based on upside and ability.
See, Pitts brought this on himself by coming into the NFL and wearing 8 when he's a tight end.
Yeah,
I have no sympathy. You come in, you make a good impression, get yourself a good tight end number. 81 or 88. They're proper tight end numbers. No, he wanted to be 80. He wanted to be Billy Big Balls. With his lowercase number. No,
he was 84 in college too, right? Like, so it wasn't like he was carrying his college number. He was 84, I think.
He just axed the 4. He's like, "Fuck that, I'm done."
Yeah, he's like, "Fuck the 4."
Fuck the 4. We're good.
Fuck the 4.
All right, Neil. Now you got 4 receivers. Teams coming together pretty solidly. Where is the angle?
I'm gonna go running back now, and he's never going to catch passes. It's a dream. It's never going to happen. He's playing in a team that the passing game looks like it's going to be a lot better this year, assuming the quarterback isn't as bad as he was last year. So I'm going to take Nick Chubb.
Ooh. I thought you were going to go Najee for a second.
No, I'm trying to pick good players. It's a controversial tactic. It might not work, but at least I'm prepared to try it.
I've heard it's a good idea. I don't know. I've heard
it's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
I don't like any running backs, like you just said it right yourself. And I just moved the screen around on accident. Like looking at these guys, Eckler was there a minute ago. I was looking at him. Jacobs is there. It's just sticky to me. I don't love really what Vegas has been doing. And then, like you said, Najee, that whole situation doesn't feel like it's advantageous to him. Chubb as well is one where I respect the talent, and I think there's upside for him. But I'm just afraid of the passing game work. And the way I guess I should look at it from a positive glass half full note is that we are pretty confident that Cleveland's trying to throw the ball more, and they're going to elevate their passing game by 60 to 80 to 100 attempts in the air, which will take more work off the ground away from Chubb and give him more screen work. A lot of the ways that we saw Dalvin Cook excel in Minnesota in that similar Stefanski offense. It would be interesting to see if they started to dabble in that. So I don't hate the Chubb pick here. I actually kind of like it.
Now I'm up. So here we go. I'm looking at a bunch of running backs that have question marks. Tony Pollard's coming off injury. And if Bijan goes there, I know it's an if, but I'm going to go with that narrative. So I'm not going to go Tony Pollard. I don't want Neil to make fun of me, so I'm not going to go Najee. He has bullied me off of Najee Harris. Kudos. I like that tactic. Jahmyr Gibbs, I feel like my gut's telling me that we're going to be disappointed with his landing spot, that he is going to go somewhere that we're not super excited, that he's not going to be getting the lion's share of work. Ramondre Stevenson, yeah, he was the guy last year for the Patriots, but it's Bill Belichick. He could easily revert back to what he normally does and have a committee at the running back position. So if we're talking about a bunch of running backs that might be sharing the backfield, give me the running back who still tears it up on a per touch basis. This guy had 6.3 yards per touch last year. That was second most. He had the 5th highest breakaway run rate. He created the 2nd most yards per touch last year and had the 7th highest EPA at the running back position. I am not completely off of him yet. I still believe in the talent. Give me DeAndre Swift here as my running back 3.
Where is he on our rankings? Holy shit.
He is right under Judy. We currently have him at running back 16. So we're not off him yet either on Player Profiler.
I mean, I would say we're kind of off of him.
I mean, that's a fall from grace for number 3 that we used to have him at. But I mean, he's still a top 20 play, he's top 18 guy. I mean, if you look up the charts, Nick Chubb was a good pick there. Rashad White, if I'm going to go with a guy at this spot here, I still think DeAndre Swift is more talented than a Rashad White.
Don't get me wrong. It was more of a compliment because I think I told you this the other night. I have never owned a single share of DeAndre Swift or a unit, whatever the fuck you want to call it. I've never drafted him in redraft, best ball, dynasty, ever in anything. Yeah. I just haven't. It just was a guy coming out as a rookie. I just didn't love him in that class, and I just never got onto him because it skyrocketed to the top, and I always thought it was overvalued. Neil, I want to ask you. Because me and Matty have talked about it, but where do you have Swift? Do you still have hope on Swift, or you think it's just kind of like it's kind of come and gone?
I think he could be good somewhere else because I think the Lions have made it abundantly clear they've been sold a false bill of goods.
Yeah,
and letting Jamal Williams go was a business decision. We knew it was probably likely given his age, and we knew that he was going to regress anyway because he was not scoring 15 touchdowns from the 5-yard line. Again, it's slightly hard to do once. It's certainly impossible to do it twice. But then to go out and bring in David Montgomery to do pretty much the Jamal Williams role and probably do it a little bit better. Swift, he's not helped himself because, he's been hurt. But he's not been a great runner. He's been good in the receiving game, but he's not going to be a workhorse in Detroit. Maybe he could have a Reggie Bush situation. Bush was never the full-time guy for the Saints, but then went to Miami and went to Detroit as well and became something like the guy in an offense that had to pass the ball more. So this is probably where I'd start looking at him with an eye towards 2024 and beyond when he's in a different uniform.
I'd agree. It's for me, like I said, I've never drafted him, so he just innately fell off my mind, especially because I'm used to seeing him in that top conversation. And now we get down here and I'm just kind of moving the board, shifting around, and you're seeing Jahmyr Gibbs and Rashad White, and I didn't even read DeAndre Swift's name. I was like, where the fuck is he? But so I think now is the conversation where I think that does become sort of a value because of, like you said, the next location, the next lane spot, and if the good bill of health does come eventually, I think that there's upside there. I'm the only team going out of round 3 without a third quarterback. So for the hell of it, I'm going to take my third quarterback. And right now, looking at the board, to me, this is the only guy. There's 2 guys I think on the board overall that I think have 30 plus points in their range of outcomes as far as upside goes consistently. One is a rookie that I've loved forever, but he has a couple years to build. The other is currently in contract disputes, and I'm going to go with him. His name is Lamar Jackson. I don't know if he's going to play football this year or not, but I don't need him to. I have that upside. I have that ability. I have Joe Burrow. I have Trevor Lawrence. But if Lamar Jackson does play and does land in a great spot, I'm going to be able to plug him in whenever I like if I don't love the matchup with Burrow or Lawrence in any given week. So I got Burrow, Lawrence, and Jackson. Now if I scroll the screen over, we are through 3 rounds, and there is the squads right there. Matty, Jalen Hurts, Justin Fields, Anthony Richardson. Konami.com. I think we could name that team. Christian McCaffrey, Austin Eckler, DeAndre Swift, bunch of PPR monsters, Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, Garrett Wilson, Jalen Waddle, DJ Moore, and Travis Kelce. Neil has the young studs at quarterback, Mahomes, Herbert, Allen, and then me and him both went ambush style. Running back, Ken Walker, Breece Hall, Jonathan Taylor, Nick Chubb. Receiver, Jamar Chase, Chris Olave, Devonta, Tyreek Hill, Mark Andrews, and then I went Burrow, Lawrence Jackson, Bijan, Barkley, Travis Etienne, AJ Brown, Metcalf, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Amon-Ra, Stephon Diggs, and Kyle Pitts. Fellas, one more round. Speed round.
It's up to Neil. I know he's across the pond right now. He's up late.
We can do a speed round, Neil.
Yeah, one more round. Whenever anyone says one more round, well, when I used to have a life, and people said one more round, it was always the rallying call I needed.
All right, let's axe this 5th round here. Our teams look pretty freaking stacked. Let's do one more round. We'll do this a speed one, less breakdowns, and we'll just run through this bad boy. Round 4, Neil is on the clock with 4 running backs, 4 receivers, 3 quarterbacks, and a tight end.
Problem I've got now is I'm looking at wide receivers who I know the quarterbacks suck, or potentially the quarterback situation is not great. I mean, there's Cooper Kupp, but what Stafford got left? Chris Godwin, I don't know what he's got. There's Christian Watson, but Jordan Love is still something of a question mark. Devontae Adams has got there, he's still there, but I think Devontae Adams' biggest problem with the Raiders is that he didn't play for the Patriots, so he's never going to be a Josh McDaniels guy. Talent is not the main thing he's looking for. It's did we want share a cab to Gillette? No, we did. Then you can play for me.
Did you smell Bill Belichick's breath? You haven't. You can't play for me.
So I think, as I say, I'm quite happy with the team I've put together. So this speed round is starting well with me waffling. I'm going to take Michael Pittman in the hope that the Colts one day get a quarterback.
All right, fair play. I think that Will Levis, my man Will Levis, would do wonders for Michael Pittman.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see if they can't get a quarterback there. Matty on the clock.
I love Will Levis to the Colts. I've said it over and over and over because I think it's going to be dynamic. The new Jay Cutler, Brandon Marshall. I love that. So I'm all in.
I'll take it.
With my next pick, I definitely need to keep shoring up my running back stable. He's a bit older, but clearly I'm trying to win now. So give me the King, Derrick Henry.
Oh, baby.
1,500 rushing yards last year. He played 16 games, and the one he missed, he probably could have played. They rested him because they needed to get him ready to go against that Jacksonville Jaguars showdown. So give me the King.
Getting dirty now. I really like you jumping ahead and taking him ahead of all these other running backs that are on the board here. All right, now I'm in question. I think I should go back to running back as well. And I'm going to scroll and waffle, as you would say, and I'm going to go Javonte Williams because I don't need Javonte Williams this year. I need Javonte Williams next year when he has that Saquon year. This year, we know he's in this Dobbins situation, and then next year he's going to populate and dominate for me in Denver, and I like that. Javonte, a stud, goes off the board here, 403.
Are you nervous at all that he's not a Sean Payton guy? Just real quick.
I don't care about Sean Payton. I think that in an ideal world, obviously he would be a little more efficient in the passing game and he would be more aligned with the projection of Alvin Kamara. But I think that Sean Payton's a good enough coach that he's not going to fuck him up.
Got it.
My tight end room is looking a little bit light, so I'm going to have another one. And I'm going to go with TJ Hawkinson.
Love Hawkinson this year, Neil. Love him. Good pick.
tight 3 going into the season. We're tight end 2 in redraft.
I think you can make the argument for tight end 2. I really do.
Yeah.
I'm back up.
Would you say 2, 3, 4?
Yeah, I think it depends what the Vikings do in the draft. If they bring in another quarterback early, and that's the competition behind Jefferson. But if it's Jefferson, then Hawkinson. We saw last year that from the time he was acquired, he was second only to Kelsey. Mostly in all the major stats. So, yeah, to go with to go with Andrews and we have Hawkinson here. I don't think that's a bad 1-2 punch at that position.
It is, and you can always play TJ Hawkinson your flex. I think he has that type of upside that he could be a flex play. So having him paired up with Andrews is not bad process, especially with the uncertainty of the quarterback. So I like that. I like that a lot. I'm going to stop this slide. I think it's gone long enough. T. Higgins. Give me T. Higgins. 3 straight seasons, over 100 yards, 100 receptions, back-to-back 1K seasons. Give me T. Higgins.
Oh, you were just bashing somebody in the chat because of T. Higgins. What are we doing here?
No, he compared him to DJ Moore, but if I can get him 3 picks later, I still love me some T. Higgins. Matter of fact, I was something I saw in my mind's eye was if T. Higgins went to Chicago, he could have been that guy.
Oh. See, I would have liked that. That would have been T. Higgins being the single. Yeah, but I don't think he's an alpha. I've said that.
I mean, I just think DJ Moore's prospect profile is a lot better than people really give it credit for, given he's been in the league for so long.
I agree. All right, I'm going to go back to the wide receiver well here. And because Kyle Pitts is on my team, I don't feel the love for going Drake London. So Cooper Kupp's on the board. I like him. Christian Watson, I like him. But I'm going to go Chris Godwin because I think that they are going to get a quarterback in Tampa Bay. And if it's not, it's going to be Baker. And I think Baker's going to keep the ball closer to the line of scrimmage than he is downfield to Evans. I think you're going to see a target monster, a PPR monster in Chris Godwin.
I'm going to take now a wide receiver who has excelled despite the fact he's had the finest collection of Costco night shift managers throwing him the ball through his entire career, in the hope that, like Michael Pittman, they one day get a quarterback. And I'm going to go Terry McLaurin.
I don't know where you pull these out of, but I love them.
I'm writing them down so that I can use them.
I've probably stolen myself, so feel free.
Oh, that's awesome. Matty, you're on the clock.
Oh, what do I do here? I can't go Cooper Kupp. Not that I don't think he doesn't still have that, really good performance under his belt. I think he does. But I'm really nervous about Matthew Stafford. Older quarterback coming off elbow surgery in an offense that is kind of floundering. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to stick away. Oh, what do I do here? Give me Drizzy Drake. In hopes that Arthur Smith gets his head out of his ass and starts throwing the ball just a little bit more. Guys smashed it in terms of target share, target rate, all those metrics, but they just don't throw the ball enough to really make him burst. But I do love the talent, and I got to go Drizzy Drake.
I think you're smart here, these last two picks, because I've been staring, I think probably Neil has too, at T. Higgins and Drake London just fall. And I'm like, I guess I could do that, but I just don't want to. So, yeah, I actually kind of like that pick. I'm looking at running back here. I feel good about my four guys, but Javonte, of course, coming off that knee injury, I think I could probably use a little bit of depth there at the running back position. I'm not that interested in the top guys that are available on here. Maybe I'll throw a dart here. Why don't we go with J.K. Dobbins? J.K. Dobbins, I talked about it a minute ago with Javonte. I think Javonte's in his 2022 version of JK. JK struggled all year last year with, getting to 100%, staying at 100%. I think Javonte's going to struggle with that, whereas I think JK this year is going to have his Saquon season where he's going to elevate, go over 1,000, and I don't think he's going to be at the same level of what Saquon did for us last year. But I think JK is going to return to form and have a good year, and I think that's going to allow me to bridge that gap for Javonte on this team.
I'm underexposed to woeful offenses, so I'm going to go with Damian Pierce because there's just no Texans on this team, so I need someone to come in and let
hold
the
you
other
back
guys
a little bit.
Yeah, let these other guys
humble your squad attack.
Yeah, I've been to the bottom, so let's get to the top. And I think the Texans have got that many needs that I can't see them spending a very high pick on another running back. So there's a good chance that Pierce, for his competition, has still got Rex Burkhead, and which I'm okay with. So if we assume that PFF Bobby is going to be running a Shanahan offense, there are rumors that that's quite good for running backs. So I'll take Damian Pierce.
I'm up here, and despite this running back having probably the most boring athletic profile that's still available, he's still very productive. In his entire career, he's had 4 years in the league. Running back 15, running back 12, running back 13, and running back 3 on a points per game basis. So give me Josh Jacobs, still under 26 years old. So give me Josh Jacobs.
You've built a pretty good running back core. I'll give it to you.
That's why you wait at running back. You can always build running backs.
You can always build running backs in a 3-man draft. Note.
Yeah, well, fair, but it won't be this prolific in most startups, but you can wait. Especially if you go hero and grab, like kind of what Neil did there, you grab Hall or Walker or Taylor early. You can wait and kind of just pepper in the David Montgomerys, the Aaron Joneses, those type of guys, even Miles Sanders in a new landing spot.
That's clever. That's clever. I think I need to have a backup tight end here because I don't trust Kyle Pitts. I don't think that he's a guy that's going to out target Jonnu Smith more than 7 times. I think I said that earlier. So I'm gonna throw the dart, a mega dart. This one's way down the board, and I'm gonna throw that dart on Darren Waller. Not because I like Darren Waller, but because New York really hasn't answered this question yet, what they're going to do here. They've just signed 8 slot guys, and they have Hodgins on the outside. So maybe in this world, we see Darren Waller convert back to wide receiver, and he, is what everyone wants Kyle Pitts to be. I don't fucking know, but I want some depth at the tight end position, and I'm going D-Wall with the New York Giants, which just feels weird to say, but that's the team, and that's how it's built. We just did 4 rounds, fellas. Konami.com. I love the team name, Matty. You did it. That's beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Did it for you.
Scroll down just a tad bit. I'm not going to go back through and read the whole damn list off again, but I will ask one question to each of you before we get out of here, and we'll send it out on this. First off, you can follow Neil Dutton on Twitter at ndutton13, where he may or may not still have his verified check mark. He's had it for a few years now, but our friend Elon is going to take it away from him, I guess, here in the next couple minutes. So, Neil, I'm going to ask you the first question. Who is your favorite pick on your team right now, and who is your least favorite?
Favorite pick is probably Breece Hall, because debating him from their pick before to then see him fall there. Bit of pressure off for him to perform because he's not expected to be the RB1. Obviously, it's very close. Least favorite pick, as I sit here now, the least favorite is Pittman because we just don't know what he's going to get at the quarterback position. We hope that one day he'll get one, but hope, as a wise man once said, is a dangerous thing.
I like it. All right, if you are listening along, make sure you click that like, click the subscribe button on YouTube. Remember, we do these on Friday, Sunday, and Tuesday nights at 7:30. Matty, take us out on this one. I want to hear your favorite pick and your least favorite pick on your team and why.
My favorite pick was Justin Jefferson because getting him kind of setting the tone, grabbing the first non-quarterback off the board. I like that because I just think he is probably the most valuable asset in Dynasty aside from the stud quarterbacks. My least favorite pick is another receiver. It's Garrett Wilson. Took him as my third receiver off the board, but there's a lot of factors to be worried about. Aaron Rodgers going there, or should I say Karen Rodgers going to that offense. He's bringing all his band of losers, not all even say losers, but you know what I mean, Randall Cobb or Alan Lazard, these guys who will take targets away. Also, one thing we're also not factoring in, the Jets brought in probably the most snooze-fest offensive coordinator option they could have, Nathaniel Hackett, who ran the slowest offense in the league, I think, his last year in Green Bay. I know his pace of play is atrocious. It moves at a snail's pace. So there's a lot of things going against Garrett Wilson, and he was running receiver 30 last year, so it wasn't like he bursted onto the scene in a massive way. He did have 1,000 yards, but yeah, that's probably my least favorite pick.
All right, you can go follow Matty on Twitter at Matty Kiwoom. You can see the game plan tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
We'll have a guest on there, I'm assuming. And then Neil Dutton, you can find him on Twitter at ndutton13. Again, I appreciate you guys all tapping in and hanging out with this 2023 Dynasty Startup Mock Draft Live. Mock Draft Live every Tuesday, Friday, and Sunday night, 7:30 p.m. on the Player Profiler YouTube channel. For Neil, for Matty, I appreciate you guys. Have a great weekend and relax, and maybe do not subscribe to Twitter Blue.
Hey, you like that video? Be sure to subscribe and activate those alerts so you get notified as soon as new videos drop. And be sure to check out playerprofiler.com. We have all the tools for you to dominate every type of fantasy league. We have a draft kit, Dynasty Deluxe, data analysis, DFS Dominator, and don't forget the player rankings to rule them.